All right, let's try that again. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our multi-platform service for the Unitarian Church of Staten Island. We're so glad everybody's here joining us today. For those joining us in person, we remind you to silence your cell phones at this time. We'll have a hospitality in there after the service, but there'll be something different. After the inside part of the service, there'll be a procession to the Memorial Garden. And those who can join us out there, please do, and then we'll all reconvene in hospitality after the service. Please join us there. If you're joining us on person, I guess you can't visit the Memorial Garden with us, but you could have your hospitality time after the service and chat with one another. And let's see now, some announcements. A reminder that our visiting minister, Ember Kelly, has regular office hours on Saturday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. To schedule a meeting, please call Ember email Ember at minister@uucsi.org. See the weekly newsletter for more information. Weekly gatherings include our women's group via Zoom, held every Tuesday from 7:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. You can see Kathy Santo for information as needed. And the men of our church gather via Zoom every other Monday evening. See Tom Saluga sitting up front for information as needed. Now, a special announcement. I've been on some emails this week. Flynn at the Ferry Hawks reached out to inform us of a faith and family night at the ballpark. And, you know, there's some, should we do it or not? And it came up, well, why don't I take an informal poll? Who would be interested? No, this is not a commitment or anything, but, you know, if there's enough interest, then we're going to go forward with this. If not, we're not. But is there anyone here who would be interested in buying your own tickets? And a bunch of us would do that and then sit together in a section at a Ferry Hawk game. And I really should have wrote down the date, right? I think it's, anybody know off the top of their heads? It's like, I think it's this Saturday. Not this Saturday, sorry. It's, you know, the date doesn't matter so much because it's so far away. It's May, I didn't mean this Saturday. It's, thank you, Jade. May 2nd, May 4th, and that's a Saturday evening, right? Yeah, so we have about a month on that. So anyway, no commitment necessary. Who would be interested in this kind of thing? Are we a ball? Oh, yes. All right. We have at least one. All right. 2. I think that's enough. Chris Johnson said she'd be interested. Jade and I said we'd jump in. So I'm pretty sure we're going to go forward with this. So we just wanted more than, I don't know, Chris and Jade and our family. So that's great. Look for announcements coming up about that. All right. Last, yes? Thank you. Yeah, that wasn't here, so I'll announce that too. Next week after service is the Memorial Garden Cleanup Day. So it's kind of part 2 of our Memorial Garden series. Please support our social media outreach. Please like and share our weekly posts on Facebook and Instagram. And remember, all of our services are on YouTube. And now let us prepare for this morning's service. Our opening words are from Wordsworth. What though the radiance which was once so bright be now forever taken from my sight? Though nothing can bring back the hour of splendor in the grass, of glory in the flower, we will grieve not, rather find strength in what remains behind. And now I invite you to join me in lighting our chalice. You can find the affirmation in our order of service. We light this chalice in the search for truth and the spirit of love. We unite in worship and fellowship. And now, as an extension of lighting our chalice, I want to take a moment of silence to light these candles for some of the names of those who have recently been affected by police brutality. We cannot cover all of the names of those affected. For this morning, we light a candle for the life of Rocky L. Dupin, for the life of Antoina M. Carter, and for the life of Foyeti Afiki. May these lights be a symbol of our commitment to continue the work of racial justice and to proclaim that Black Lives Matter. Please join us in singing hymn number 123, Spirit of Life, and your gray hymnal.
Please stand and join us. We'll sing this through twice.
Now is a time in our service for joys and sorrows. If you're visiting us for the first time, you may introduce yourself at this time if you'd like. For those gathering in person, we invite you to raise your hand and then stand where you're seated. I'll give you this microphone to share your joy or sorrow. We invite you to share what is in your heart. That's Ryan.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Ryan. Joy is next Saturday. I will be going to a gala at my event. And I was offered to do the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'm more likely to do so. And I have an eventful week next week, not this week, but the following week. So I'll be doing everything else too with my job and all that. So that's all.
Sounds like a great opportunity. Anyone else? Joys and sorrows? Yes?
Good morning. I am still John Adrian. I come with great joy. Today, I am wearing jeans with a 40-inch waist. I cannot remember how many decades it has been since I have been able to get comfortably, get at all, into jeans with a 40-inch waist. If anyone here is or knows of someone who can wear a 42, a 44, or a 46 with a roughly 30-inch inseam, let me know. I've got some good used jeans available for free.
Nice. Congrats. Eric.
My name is Eric. I have a joy that I turned 14 2 days ago on the day of the earthquake. And I got to celebrate my birthday with an earthquake.
Nice, Eric.
Good morning, everyone. I have kind of joy. For the past 6 to 8 months, I've been working with a group of stakeholders to create a center for the blind and vision impaired in Staten Island. We've been meeting in my apartment for about 7 months, And finally, we're at a point where on Tuesday, we're going to take it to the community boards. We're going to start taking it to all the community boards as a way of getting support from politicians and everyone else. And hopefully, in the not so distant future, we'll finally have a center for the blind and vision impaired on Staten Island for the first time in years. There used to be one years ago and it was taken away and never replaced. There are over 8,000 people in Staten Island who are blind or vision impaired to the point that even with glasses they cannot see. Thank you.
Thank you, Claudette. Also, I'm going to pass it back in a moment. I don't think I actually said, for those joining us online, maybe because I know you all know this, you can type your joys or sorrows in the chat, and Eric will share them out loud.
I'm Robin Lockmonda, and today I'm really, really happy for the forsythia and the magnolias that are blooming, and the sunshine, and a little bit of blue sky for a change. So I'm feeling especially blessed today. It feels wonderful. Thank you.
I agree. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. I'm Chris. This is like very early notice, but Daryl Berger is going to be in our pulpit on the 21st. I mean, that's not the early notice. We know he's going to be coming back on April 21st. But he did let us know that he is celebrating his 50th anniversary as Unitarian minister, and he's going to come back to UCSI in early November for whatever that first Sunday is, and celebrate here, and we're going to have a special celebration with him, about him, for him, for his 50th ordination. So just put that on your things to do.
Awesome. Thank you. Anybody else? Yes?
Hi, my name is Beatrice Ramirez, and you may remember that I spoke a while ago about a bill that's supposed to be coming up in Albany called MAID, Medical Aid in Dying. And I'm very interested in this topic, and I want people to know more about it, because I think it's very important that we have an option at the end of life for assisted help from the medical profession if we choose. So I was very pleased to find an article in the Advance, which I copied, and I said, I'll give this out today because it's very brief and it explains what's in the bill. But then I was thinking, what else can I do? And I was feeling very depressed about it. This morning I woke up, the front page of the Advance, I don't know if any of you get the paper, it's an article about MAID. It's the first one that's been in the paper. This one is very tragic because it's about a young woman who became ill, terminally ill, and she requested aid in dying. She felt that she was in pain, there was no hope of her recovery, and she wanted to be assisted in dying. However, it's not legal in New York State, and things took the normal course. But her parents had the courage to bring this to public's attention, and it's in the paper. And when you open it, there's a double page of the entire story. So this, it's a very sad story, but it gives me joy in that these people had the courage to share it, and I'm going to see what I can do to bring it forward. I'm going to try to get a reprint of this article. The Staten Island Advance may become famous in New York State because I'm going to share this with an organization called Compassion and Caring, which is fighting for this in Albany. And just to let you know, once the budget discussions in Albany are completed, that's when they hope to bring this bill out. And they're requesting people to please contact your representatives, let them know that if you're in favor of this, and we hope to pass it. 10 other states have passed it. And if you want to know more details, the article I have today, I'll put it out on the tables for you to read. So thank you for listening.
Thank you, Beatrice.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Louis Vassar Samanchik. I'm Mark and Viv's son, and just wanted to share the joy of being here. And I grew up in this church, so it's great to be back, and I hope to catch up with many of you later. Great. And I'm joined with my sister Delia as well.
So it's good to meet you. Anyone else? How about in the chat, Eric? All right, last call. Thank you for sharing your joys and sorrows with us, and for those held silently in your hearts. For meditation this morning, we're going to do something a little different. If you haven't already, so I'll give a moment in case people brought this, we invite you to place an object or a photo that represents a loved one who has passed on our front table here. Would anybody like to do that? There's some up there already. All right. So we're going to have a moment of silence. And also in this moment of silence, it'll be our normal kind of 3-minute meditation time, 3 or 4 minutes. And in this moment of silence, just feel free to just speak out, whether or not you brought an object or photo. You don't have to, obviously, if you want the photo to speak itself. But if you want to speak out loud during the meditation, the name of your loved one that has passed, please do that. And we'll just hold these names in our hearts. And if anyone would like to offer names up for us to remember, then please do. Always, I'll ring the bell, and we'll just give 3 or 4 minutes to remember our departed loved ones.
I remember my father, Gil Clark, my mother, Virginia Clark, and my sister, Shannon Clark. Rafael Martinez Perez. Ruth and John Leeson, John Leeson Jr.
Eric Kent Michaels. Thank you, everybody. The reading is from Margaret Mead, entitled "Remember Me." Oh, and Louis Samanchek will read that today. You can, yeah, you would, yeah. Why don't you go ahead and come up here? Yeah, yeah.
Remember Me by Margaret Mead. To the living, I am gone. To the sorrowful, I will never return. To the angry, I was cheated, but to the happy, I am at peace. And to the faithful, I have never left. I cannot be seen, but I can be heard. So as you stand upon a shore, gazing at a beautiful sea, remember me. As you look in awe at a mighty forest and its grand majesty, remember me.
Thank you, Louis. Now is the time in our order of service where we take an offering. We know it's the gifts of all of us that help support our ability to thrive and gather together. For those attending in person, we'll pass the collection plate. Please use the envelope you'll find in the pew. Write your name and indicate if your offering is part of your pledge or is a donation. And for those online, links and instructions will be posted in the chat. You can mail us a check, donate through the PayPal giving page on our website. Please give as generously as you can. Our offerings will now be gratefully received.
Turn now in your gray hymnal to number 108. Please stand and join us.
The second reading, Victor Hugo. Have courage for the great sorrows in life and patience for the small ones. And when you have laboriously accomplished your daily task, go to sleep in peace. God is awake.
Good morning. I'm back. This is always an important service for me. I'm beginning my third season, I believe it's a third, of being a chairperson for our church's Memorial Garden. And part of that business is answering questions about that unusual aspect of our church. So Dave is going to ask me a few FAQs, which were helpfully prepared for by Viv Vassar. So we're going to do it in that kind of, it's kind of an infomercial, kind of, but you'll see where it goes. So go ahead.
So Diane, what and where is the UCSI Memorial Garden?
Well, Dave, it's right behind us in the churchyard. It's along Fillmore Street, and it's the design is very calming, and it reflects the unity of our church. It has a Fibonacci spiral inspired garden walk, and it has several elements, all donated by members of this church. There's a circle of remembrance in the center. It has lily turfed center, and the plantings around it include a dogwood, which has not, the magnolia and the dogwood are not out yet because it's in the shade, but they'll be out by next week, I'm sure. There's 4 teak benches, a stone wall, a tablet sign with listing people's names who were interred, and a beautiful hand-cast bell that was added a few years ago. And we're going to ring it today because the resonance it creates is just a really stirring effect for services that we have there. And we have seasonal flowers, which will be put in next week when we have our cleanup. And it's kind of a seasonal garden.
Who runs the Memorial Garden?
Well, we do. We're the committee of volunteers. There's 4 of us, and we could use a 5th, I think, to help us do some of the work that's required. And the church office supports us as well.
Is there a plan for perpetual care?
Well, I don't know every answer to every question, but I think as long as the church is here, we will have a committee, and it's our responsibility to manage and care for the garden.
Who can be buried there?
Well, that's an interesting question, and there's a lot of confusion about that. But it's a repository for ashes for church members, their partners, and close family members, such as a spouse or significant other, as defined by the New York State, child or grandchild, siblings, a parent or grandparent, in-laws, or step relatives.
And so what are the steps and paperwork to get this set up?
Well, you could have a conversation with a minister, but in lacking a minister that's full-time, we have Google Forms. And you can, of course, talk to one of us on the committee. Tom is here, Virginia, Viv, and Brendan are all on the committee, but usually people email me. Yeah, that's who you talk to.
Can I set up and pay for my internment in the garden in advance?
Yes, you may, Dave. Anytime you can contact us, and we'll file your intent. And sometimes people get confused whether their loved one has made that choice. They might have talked about it, but they actually didn't do it. So if you're not clear about that, it's very hard to figure out what people want. So.
Now, what is the actual burial like? Is there a coffin?
No, Dave, there's no coffins. It's cremains, which are ashes. And they're generally, it was never stated, but I say it should be a seasonal attribute of the church. It's like, you can't do it in the middle of the winter because it's kind of cold. And so we generally schedule memorials to happen during the April to November, October. So we put the ashes, they're decanted. You bring us the ashes, we put them into an eco-friendly container, paper container, and then people usually plan the memorial, like they come generally on a Saturday or a Friday or whatever, and they have whatever they want. They could talk, they could share poems like we just did. You could conduct a real memorial. If you're a member of a church, the memorial you could have at our church. But sometimes it's just having friends and family come together from far off places, ringing the bell, saying there's a few things. So it depends on what people want.
You've sold me. What if I want to have a service in the church or in the garden?
We plan it with a minister. If the family wants, they can hire a minister separately. You could hire singers, etc. You know, we've seen many memorials here. I'm sure if you've been a member of this church for a while, there's all sorts of different kinds of memorials that have been held here. So.
And how do we set up for having it in the church? Can we have the repast in the parish hall?
I had a repast for my husband. They're separate affairs. These things are separate affairs, and they can they must be booked with the church office. If you're just coming to inter cremains, that's done through the committee, and we try to invite whoever should be invited unless it's a private affair.
Is there a place online that has information, or can I get a brochure?
Yes, you can look at the online part of our website. There's some information there. And I think we're going to be adding the connection to the Google form, which helps you go through, whether you're doing it for yourself or you're doing it for somebody else, it helps you go through all those layers of responsible information that we need.
How much does this cost? Is there a charge for the plot, and is there a charge for the burial?
Yes, it's $1,000 for members of our church, and it's $1,500 for non-members. So if people haven't joined the church but are your significant other, what have you, that's how that would go financially. And funeral memorial services are free to members of the Unitarian Church.
Who do I contact with my questions?
As I said, we have online information, the church office, who then will get in touch with our committee. And it's always a work in progress, so be patient. But if you need to know more information, you can just email me directly.
Now, what would you say is the most important thing an individual can do to be sure their wishes are followed?
Glad you asked, Dave. This is really the most important concern we've had recently. And for me personally, it's like the kind of thing, I'm an avoidant character, so this kind of responsibility is important to me, and it helps offset the stress and the emotional part of losing somebody important to us. So we cannot stress the importance of getting your personal affairs in order enough. This process, it's important for everyone of all ages, right? We can't know the future. But even more important for those who often find themselves living away from family and friends, you need to get things in order. So that's why I called this memorial Preparedness, taking care of business today. It's not something, but those who are very meticulous about their professions and the things they do in life, they often don't leave adequate information or incomplete records or instructions. And the support for the people who are left to manage their personal affairs is lacking. So when we come across that, we've had super responsible families that everything was taken care of and it was exactly as it should be. And then there's been a lot of questions which we have to try to filter through. So the old, well, I'll be gone then, joking, and it doesn't matter, and you'll have to take care of it, is actually kind of tragic for the people who are left behind. And we all have been left behind, but we also all should be taking those steps to make things easier and what we want. Who else but you could describe your life in an obituary? So why not draft something, right? Who else but you could know what your wishes are? And maybe you haven't thought about them, but you can. Who else but you could ease the pain and confusion with a few responsible actions that you take today? Family, friends, neighbors, pets, church community will thank you for your actions today. By taking care of business now, you can help them, us, at a time when they need that help the most. Indeed, taking the time to plan now and record information for your loved ones could be the most unselfish gifts you ever give the people you love. And I'm just going to, this is what was sent. It was a link to this document, which was put together by a law firm. There's a lot of personal information that would go into here. And the 2 pages that relate to me as the memorial garden is pages 12 and 13, which are called Final Wishes, which really go through things really carefully, things that might not be understood. But the rest is financial, personal, retirement, other important information you just never told anybody. So think about that. Click on it. I think the people like me, the avoidant people who don't want to deal with the emotions, they'll like this. This is like right up their alley. And the people who are more reactive to things, who don't want to think about it, and they would do better doing it with another person. By doing it with a friend, connects to, or a loved one, like we're doing it for each other. And that's sometimes the secret sauce to get things like this done. Imagining the world without us, well, I think anyone who's had a loss, it's just like people don't disappear. They stay with us. And you want that feeling of trust and love to continue in a way that it's not like, regretfulness that things weren't the way it should have gone is not necessary. So that's my message about what was most important to us, our great concern right now. And I have in the audience here, a member of our church, Claudette Duff is here, and she's the director of Integrity Seniors, who knows a little bit about this. Would you like to say a few words about your experience? We have sort of adding this in, just from what I said and for what you know, if you could just add a little extra.
Okay. Thank you, Diane. As many of you know, I'm the owner of Integrity Senior Services. Just celebrated on the 14th, on the 4th of this month, our 20th anniversary as a corporation. And so I've been dealing with seniors and their families for all these years and beyond, because I worked with seniors prior to that. And so many horror stories about not being prepared. But the one I recently heard a couple weeks ago is someone that I knew many years ago, I hadn't seen in a very long time. And I ran into someone that knew them, and they said they passed away. And I says, oh my God, that's horrible. They seemed fine when I last saw them, which was not that long ago. And they told me a story that was very sad and stays with me, that her partner at the time that she got sick and passed away, they were not doing very well, and that the partner married her on her deathbed, and showed me pictures of her looking completely incoherent. And soon after the burial, sold her house and fought the family, got a very good lawyer, and pretty much took away all the assets and moved to Florida. Now, I remember this friend, the one that passed away. She was always talking about her grandchildren, always talking about her grandchildren. And this person that she was not getting along with in the first place really took everything away from these children. And I was surprised that she had nothing written down, nothing. She had property, she had assets, and she had nothing written down. So this was able to happen. That would never have happened had she just write something down. It didn't have to be a lawyer. Write something down, give a copy to friends or family, but there was nothing there. So it's so important. I know I have a will, I have stuff prepared already, because you never know. Thank you.
Because you do know. Actually, we do know, but it's just like, really difficult. And when we see families come and celebrate someone who's gone, it's been very beautiful, and it's been very supportive. And so you go from that story where no one was able to grieve. They're dealing with lawyers and, let's avoid that just by taking care of our own business and finding a way to do that. Because have I filled out this huge many page form, like 20 pages? No. Do I have some paperwork done, right? But even, yeah, it's really like holding ourselves accountable by having a community. So I think if there's a way to do that, if someone comes up with an idea, I could say, hey, by May 1st, let's do this. Let's fill out this form, or start filling it out so that when someone finds it, and then someone has to be designated to find it, it can actually do good work for us. All right. So that's my talk. And now we want to talk about actually visiting the garden, which is in spring mode. It's just waking up. It hasn't been cleaned up yet, but it looks pretty good. All right. And yeah, come next week in your dungarees, to use an old word, and we can make it even better.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Diane. And a hymn first, and then the extinguishing of the chalice, and then the visit to the garden.
Please turn to number 103 in the grade hymnal, For All the Saints. Please rise and join us. Oh, the third verse is on the second page at the bottom, so it's a little out of order.
and invite you to join me in extinguishing the chalice. After the extinguishing, as we've said, we'll join us please in a procession to the Memorial Garden if you're able to. But first, you can find the affirmation of chalice extinguishing in the order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. For these we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Follow your lead, Diane.